What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What it do, what it is, what's happening with the business be, what up, though? It's your guy, Nate Bennett, with another extraordinary episode of the Extraordinary Exchange Podcast, brought to you by the men of Extraordinary Investment Group. You see the branding, y'all know what it is. 12 black men doing what we can in the community to positively impact through education and smart financial strategies. We're going to get that tonight. Got my co-host, Benz. What's going on, Benzino?
What's going on? How you feeling tonight, man?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm doing good. And started 2026 off the right way. And we're going to keep this momentum going with our next guest, baby.
I'm with it. Let's get it.
Y'all in for a treat tonight. Y'all in for a good treat. This man, this legendary human being that we have on the pod tonight, had the privilege of meeting his, not only himself, but his incredible kids at InvestFest a few years ago. I was just personally blown away before I even met him. I believe it was your youngest daughter that was right there at the booth. And I was like, who girl is this? Like, who? Then went down a whole rabbit hole of what y'all doing on social media. But our next guest is a philanthropist, entrepreneur, investor, author, musician, director, many titles. But he's the co-founder of coolkids.org, a nonprofit for children's financial literacy. He's launched JAR, the first streaming financial literacy TV app for kids. Also released The Syllabus, the first G-rated financial literacy album. Then there's The Syllabus Part 2, I believe. Another one on the way. But he's educated over 30,000 kids nationwide with support from folks like Magic Johnson, T.I., John Hope Bryant, Sammy Watkins, Raven Simone, Chubb Rock, D.L. Hughley, Anthony Anderson, and many, many more. He holds a doctorate from UConn. He's a pharmacist. I just found that out. I'm a pharmacy technician, so we both in that pharmacy field. And executive education and leadership and finance from Cornell and Columbia. As a director and entrepreneur and curriculum developer, Keynote, he aims to bridge the wealth gap and empower financial savvy youth through engaging edutainment. Again, 3-time author. He's a patent holder, co-founder of Finlit Fest, and so many other things.
Grammy vote receiving.
Grammy vote receiving. Thank you.
Yeah. That's important.
Again,
yes, indeed.
More intimately known as Doc. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Marlon Fuller. What's going on, Doc?
Oh man, this is great, man. Everything is well. Thanks for having me, Nate. Thanks for having me, Benz. This is an honor. I've been following what you all have been doing. You've been doing some amazing work, and thanks for kind of leading the way and allowing stories like myself and others to be told on your platform. It's a privilege to be here.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate you, man. We know you got a lot to say, and we want to get it to the people, man. So we appreciate your time tonight.
That's what's up. Let's get it.
So something I'm very passionate about, we all are passionate about, is financial education, and just understanding how money works. And I feel like it's kind of simple, and it's not as complicated as much as people make it out to believe. How did you get that passion and want to disseminate that to the youth?
Well, because I grew up in an impoverished background. My father wasn't around for 8 years. He was incarcerated. And so we went through a rough patch. And so I went from kind of living in a middle class neighborhood to the poorest of the poor. And so understanding how those financial decisions and those life decisions can impact you and have a ripple effect, it really was something that when I got older, I was going to be the person that I needed when I was younger. We didn't have that male role model. My father was doing the wrong thing. My brothers ended up doing the wrong thing. I ended up losing 3 of my brothers before I graduated college. Now my father had 13 kids. I was the youngest boy, but my older brothers took the wrong path. And I said, what can I do to not take that path and kind of do the opposite of everything that I saw in my household and in my neighborhood? There wasn't a lot of positivity. And so I said, when I got to a point where I can help, I was going to raise others as I rose. And so that was kind of the precipice of the work in the community. And so I've been doing work in the community even while I was in college before I graduated from the University of Connecticut with my doctorate in pharmacology, trying to uplift, educate, and engage the next generation, and really focused on the wealth gap, because I felt like when I was in school, there weren't these resources that I heard of other schools having. There weren't these tools that I saw other people having. And so I said, I want to make sure that I give back to the community. And finances affects a lot of things. And I wanted to focus there because it's something that schools don't teach. And if parents don't know it, how are the kids going to learn it?
Yeah, just going right into that, talking about the tools that you've been given. The JAR app. Talk about that, how you created it, exactly what it is for the folks, and how you're providing value to the community through that JAR app.
Yeah, well, I'll say that, I have 4 kids, my wife, Christina, and I. Our youngest is now 10 and the oldest is 27. And so we're very busy. My wife is working in consumer packaged goods for a Fortune 500 company. I work in the pharmaceutical space doing pharmaceutical research during the day. But on the weekends and in the evenings, we do a lot of investing and philanthropy. And so really what we said, we're super busy. We can't be everywhere. So how can we replicate ourselves? And so we decided to do a TV app because what we realized, particularly during the pandemic, is that there wasn't a lot of good programming. And so with our nonprofit, coolkids.org, we really focused on edutainment. Like KRS One said, you got to put the medicine in the candy. And so we mixed the education with the entertainment, but there wasn't a ton of great resources out there. So we said, we need to start creating these resources for parents and for our own kids so that they would have some things that they can utilize to have these dinner table conversations. And what I noticed when I was in college, I remember I was talking to one of my Caucasian, colleagues or one of the students on the floor, and he was talking about his grandfather set up an investment account at an early age. And I was just like, I didn't even know what investing was, and at this point, 20 something years old. And so I said, okay, during the pandemic, I said, after I had gotten some more financial knowledge and already had graduated from school, I said, I have a vision of having the Netflix of financial literacy. So a tool that would engage the kids, keep them edutained, and so they didn't even know that they were really learning about all of these concepts like invest and saving, deferred gratification, opportunity costs, 401ks, 529s, 1031 exchanges, all of these different things that the wealthy know, but necessarily if you're coming from inner cities or homes that doesn't have that financial education, rural or where have you, I wanted to be able to provide them with tools and consolidate all those tools. So we created a TV app. I hired a software developer and created a TV app called JAR. It's short for Savings Jar. So pretty much from Savings Jar all the way to investing to entrepreneurship, there's programming on there. We have over 600 different videos. We have some of my music videos on there because I'm working on my 3rd financial literacy G-rated album, but it's all in one place. I'm also executive produced and directed a series called Money and Music. One of my guests that I actually interviewed was somebody that has been on your podcast, Lawrence Ingelston, great guy in the Atlanta area, but really pulling all of these things together. So you can find JAR TV now on Fire TV, Apple TV, and Roku with programming that'll keep kids engaged and entertained. And what we see a lot of happening with our TV app is that schools are using it. After school programs are using it, churches are using it, homeschool parents, and just kids in general. It's programming that really gives some engaging content for kids as early as elementary school all the way to college. So it's been a huge tool. Now, you said that I know you started off by saying that we have about 30,000 that we impacted. At this point, we don't even know. Because we stopped counting at 30,000. And with celebrity reshares, we're probably in the millions now because our content is being reshared on social media. So it's having a global impact now. But 30,000 have been through our program. But when you start factoring in all of the different avenues where we educate with our TV app, with our album, with our curriculum that's in New York City public schools, it's a lot more than that. So I think that we're pebbles We're all pebbles with a purpose. And I think those pebbles create ripples and ripples create waves. And we've been creating waves out there in conjunction with so many amazing people like Magic Johnson, and support for T.I. and John Hope Bryant and Congresswoman Akima Williams, CEO Arian Simone, or Ashley D. Bell, with so many different initiatives out there. So I think that was the reason why we created it, so we can really amplify our effort and maximize our impact.
Well, first off, shout out to you and your program and everything you're doing. It's much needed in all communities. I would say our community, but all communities, so everybody, stuff that anyone could use. Now, from pharmacy to gaining financial knowledge, do you have any music production background? Like how did that become a part of the weave? That's a lot of different genres to put together.
Yeah, I think there's what we choose to do for a profession when we're in high school, or what we decide to happen in college or trade school, whatever. Every decade of your life, you can be somebody different. And sometimes each decade, you're multiple people. And so I'm still learning who I'm going to be. I'm still growing as an individual. But every decade of my life, I realized the previous decade, I didn't know as much, and I keep growing, right? And so it was right before the pandemic. I told my wife, I was just like, we have our nonprofit, coolkids.org. And I'm looking for resources, and I got kind of tired of going on YouTube, taking a snippet of Jay-Z, taking a snippet of Kanye or Kendrick and all of the different hip hop art. And I'm a hip hop, guy. But I also love R&B, salsa, reggae, soft rock. Like, I love all these different genres of music. But, I think Bob Marley was paraphrased as saying, you can't separate the music from the message. Mm-hmm. And so, like, music can communicate education. And I saw when I saw the Hamilton musical with Lin-Manuel Miranda, I saw that you could communicate history through music. And then just thinking back to the ABCs and all of the different nursery rhymes, I said, I told my wife and some of my siblings, I said, I've never been in the studio. Outside of maybe one time with Snoop. So I'm from Long Beach, California.
Okay.
And so my sister is married to Snoop Dogg. They have 3 kids together, Corey, Cordell, and Corday. But like, I really wasn't a music guy. I was always into books. And so I reached out to some of my friends and family. I said, look, I want to put together an album. They're laughing at me. They're like, what you talking about? You can't rhyme. You've never been in the studio. And I was like, look, God put this on my heart. And I think everybody has a purpose to fulfill. And, sometimes people are going to laugh at your vision because your vision is not their vision and it's not meant for them. And so I just knew that these kids needed something. And so I started reaching out to people, and I was like, why do I know all of the people that I know? And I started putting all of the pieces together. Now, for background, I'm a person that can really, I'm an empath, somebody that can feel other people's emotions. And so, like, I stopped watching the news after 9/11. When I saw people jumping out of buildings, I was having nightmares. I was waking up crying. I couldn't deal with all of that emotional content. So, like, I haven't had cable TV in 20 years. But that time that I'm saving, and the average person, for example, when you look at TV, social media, and gaming, are spending about 5 to 7 hours a day on those platforms. I don't have any gaming platforms in my house, no Xbox, no PlayStation. I don't have cable, and I'm only minimally on social media. So it gives me the ability to do this. So long story short, while I'm still working full time and doing our real estate investments and doing our nonprofit, I started going into the studio. I called all these people that I know, and I said, they're in my life for a reason. This is on my heart for a reason. And reached out to Chubb Rock, T.I., Keith Murray, Mickey Fax, all the people that I knew. And I was just like, I need y'all on this project. And then I reached out to the producers that I know. And that was the first album, The Syllabus, freshman year. And it's really meant to be a curriculum. And that's what we turned it into. I then came out with the syllabus sophomore year, and myself and Trans Lee, one of T.I.'s artists, we wrote that, and my kids performed it, Dylan, Layla, and Charlotte, because I needed something in a kid's voice, right? And my kids helped a little bit as well, but we did the majority of the content. And now I'm working on my third album. So no, I don't. I wouldn't say that I was a musician before I went into the studio, uh, and I would say that now I am a musician, but I'm more so an educator. And so
Okay.
my next album, I'm excited about it. I have Cap G on it. I have The Game. I have King Los. I have Shaheem from the Wu-Tang Clan. Um, I have some dope artists that's on this project, and so I'm looking for this one to come out. And it's going to be the same thing, G-rated content. You can play it in church. There's not a curse word. There's no negative imagery. But we think that this is something. And I messaged Harvey Mason, who's the CEO of the Recording Academy and the Grammys. I said, we need to create a new genre of music called edutainment, because if you give somebody something to strive for, they will make music to fill that gap. And right now, the gap is being filled by agenda that's kind of hijacked music, I believe. I think the frequency of music and the original intent has been hijacked, and there's too much negativity and drama, and they're feeding off of this yellow dog journalism that was really a newspaper strategy. When you feed people fear, anxiety, stress, they tune in more. That's how the brain works from a psychological perspective. And so we're being fed negativity because that's what keeps people attention. The more attention that you keep, the more ads you sell for advertisers. Jay-Z had a line. He said advertisers try to use them, to sell more ads. I won't say all of the lyrics, but y'all know the lyrics. But that's how music is being utilized now for negativity purposes, and we're trying to change that paradigm. So I'm excited what the future is going to lead to, and I really do believe, even though I can't say in my 30s I was a musician, in my 40s I am, and in my 50s I am looking for the biggest names in the industry to be on future projects and to collaborate with them. If not myself, from a concept perspective, maybe a lyric perspective, I can ghostwrite, I can do it all, because I have the financial information, and we're looking to amplify that.
And it will happen for sure. I seen it early with the freshman syllabus album. It's an easy listen. It's good. It's refreshing. You know what I'm saying? Like as I mean, me and Bands, we hip hop heads too, and we have these conversations within our investment group. Like, man, we're older now. We got kids now. We feel in motivated to not listen to that stuff anymore because we got people behind us that are watching, right? Our kids are watching,
Right.
and they pay attention to what
Exactly.
we're doing. So I definitely see, first of all, shout out to your sister, hip hop royalty, the women behind the men that are doing their thing. Did that, learn something new every day. You talked about ghostwriting. Do your kids write their own lyrics?
So they write some of the lyrics, and so when we get in there, they're like, nah. A kid wouldn't say that. We got to mix it up a little bit. So we have like a lot of the financial component, but they're like, no, you can't say it like that. So they're part of the writing. So we usually record in Colley Park Studio down in Atlanta, where Soldier Boy and Vic and all of these greats have recorded. We have a great engineer down there, Chris Hunter, that we work with. We work with producer Halftime. And then my brother-in-law is a producer as well. He's out of Connecticut. His name is Cam Fletch. So we actually just came out with the new single on the third album. It's called Upgrade. And the hook is talking about drinking matcha with the quarter zip. So it's going off of the quarter zip and matcha kind of wave right now. But my son and I, we wrote that one by ourselves.
I seen y'all got the merch with the quarter zip on the mugs and the matcha. So yeah, it's a whole collective that y'all are doing. With respect. So something that you talked about just now. No social media, no gaming. no news. I'm always having these conversations with my mother too. She's like, "Oh, you got to stay informed of what's going on." I felt inclined and had to pull myself away from social media within the last week or so, with
Yeah.
all the stuff going on in the world, people losing their lives to these agents that are out here in the streets. Kind of talk about that really quick, just being pinpoint and focused on something and not being distracted by some of the outside noise, because we all have the same 24 hours to do whatever it is that we're
Yeah.
doing at whatever point in our lives, and to impact or do whatever it is that we want to do in the world. Talk about how that's been impactful in your life and how it's been able, you've had the bandwidth to do so much more with that free time.
Yeah, I remember during the pandemic, I talked to Chris Gardner. He's the person who The Pursuit of Happiness and Will Smith did the movie after.
Mhm.
But he was just talking about, time, time being our greatest asset. We've heard it from Warren Buffett. We've heard it from financial experts. And that's what social media is doing. We're giving them our time and they're trading it for dollars, right? And so, like, I don't like trading my time like that. And so I like investing my time. And so I invest that time into my kids, into the community, into work, and into myself. And, there's a saying that the best investment is an investment in yourself. And, that's why after getting my doctorate, I went back. I went to Cornell, and then I went back, and then I went to Columbia, because I wanted to continue to educate myself. I'm still listening and educating myself with podcasts like yourself, and others. I'm still reading. I'm still engaging with a strong network of people that I can learn from and have a symbiosis where we can have this equal exchange of knowledge and uplift each other. But it takes focus. I think a lot of times like a thoroughbred. You want to win, you have to have your blinders on. You have to be looking straight and your eyes on the prize. And I think we have our blinders off, a lot of us, and we're just looking at everything. I like to tell my kids, my son Dylan, for example, he's into basketball. He's in ninth grade, freshman basketball. And I was just like, look, you say that school and basketball are the most important, right? So if those are the two most important things to you, I don't want to hear about anything else. I don't want to hear about, like, you want a gaming console and all of that stuff. He just got a smartphone. He gets embarrassed every time I tell people that, but he's in the ninth grade and he had a flip phone up until this point because I needed him to be focused. Now he's an AB student. He's doing very well, and all of my kids have been in dual language programs, and so they've been learning Spanish 50% of their day since kindergarten. And so, like my seventh grader, she's on the honor roll for Spanish and English, and we're not a Spanish speaking household, So it's just like anything you do, you get better at with repetition. And one of my mentors had mentioned to me one time, Valerie, she said, there's a book out there called Talent is Overrated. And she told me, you got to read this book because it's going to be one of the most powerful books you read, because it talks about just frequency and repetition. It's like nobody is better than you. The only reason that somebody is somewhere at an elevated state than you are because they put in more time. And so it gives a story of Jerry Rice. It gives a story of Beethoven. It gives a story of all of the greats that you can think of, the Kobes of the world. And it said what they did is that they put in the time. And so, for example, Tiger Woods started playing golf at the age of 4. 17 years later, after constant practice, he got his first green jacket at the Masters. Beethoven started playing the piano at 4, wrote his first symphony 17 years later at the age of 21, right? And so, like, everything is about frequency. And so that's why I don't have the social media, because I tell my son, it's like, I don't have time to be looking at somebody else's life when I'm busy with my own life, And like a buddy of mine, he won a Super Bowl. He used to live across the street, Sammy Watkins, with the Chiefs. And like, I just started watching the games to support him, because I love football, but I don't have time to watch another man at their job. It's just like, if I'm on my grind and I'm focused on my purpose, why do I have so much time watching other people at work? Like, it doesn't make sense, and I love sports, but it's just like, it has a time and a place. I think we need to engage with some of these things after we've already gotten to where we need to get to, right? But you see me, so a lot of times I don't even know what season it is. I don't know when basketball or football starts because like I don't have cable and I don't watch sports because I'm too focused on the things we do. But having that laser focus is how we've been able to educate 30,000 plus kids. And I'm still in corporate America, and we own a bunch of real estate, and we have multiple businesses with that focus.
One thing about you spoke about it briefly earlier about social media and the way um, all media has learned to harp on negative stories.
Yeah,
It's oftentimes a lot of us feel that negative activity is a lot closer to you and more realer than it really is in real life. So
mm,
what I've noticed is if you look at all the crime statistics, crime's done everywhere. But as the average person, says, oh, it's crazy out here, man. Watch out.
right.
Nobody knows the person that was kidnapped in the white van, but everybody's afraid of white van snatching it. So it's a lot of these stories and morals that come up from that repetition of negativity that impacts you in real life, but in real life it's not a problem for you, or the problems that happen in your area or anywhere around you, but you're
Yeah,
afraid of it because you saw it 12 times on social media.
correct.
Um, so it's not so you speak of just the time impact of it. It also impacts us mentally and your productivity, even when you're off of it, because you're worried about things that you shouldn't be worrying about. So I love that point you're breaking right there.
Yeah, and and I think what we watch and listen to is just as impactful as what we eat or drink. If we think of what we watch and listen to with the same intensity and the same kind of passion and thought as we do what we eat or drink, we would change what we eat and drink. So I didn't realize how impactful that was until 9/11, and just being an empath and being like affected and being able to feel other people's trials and tribulations, like waking up, I was crying, waking up having nightmares. The thing that I was ingesting, seeing during the day, watching the news, it was having an effect on me at night while I was sleeping. It was having an effect on my mood. And it's like, I'm usually an optimistic person, but I was like being bombarded with negativity, and it was impacting me in a negative way. And I can say that I probably was a little depressed at the time, anxious at the time. So things that you watch and listen to can have a physiological effect on you, just like a drug, right? If you eat a bunch of salty food, your blood pressure goes up. You watch a bunch of trauma and trial and tribulations, your blood pressure is probably going to go up because you're going to have more anxiety, right? So it can have a similar effect on you. And people think that, oh, no, it's just a video game. It's just a music video. It's just a movie. No, those things can have a physiologic response on you, just like water, just like food, just like anything else. So we have to, I think, take a different lens on what we're ingesting and really like kind of protect our peace. I saw something from Jack Dorsey, who founded Twitter, and so to Elon. But he said that we're living in multiple realities right now. It's kind of like a multiverse. Based on what you click one or two times, the algorithm starts sending you what they think you're going to be into. The algorithm also, because you have to share your contacts and all of this stuff, what you're liking or commenting on, right? The algorithm starts profiling you and starts sending you stuff that's going to keep your time. So like if I'm into animals, I'm going to I won't see anything about what's going on with ICE or the government or what's happening in Gaza or all of these different things, right? It's only going to send me giraffes and llamas and all of that stuff, right? Because that's what the algorithm wants your time. Soon as it starts learning a little bit about how it, like what you're interested in, it's going to start shifting your reality. So yeah, to your point, if you start watching a couple of reality clips, it's going to start sending you reality TV stuff. If you're watching something about celebrities, it's going to send you that. So your perspective is skewed. If you're looking at things from like Martin Luther King or Charlie Kirk or this pile of Republican versus Democrat versus independent, once it starts you on that path, you're going to think that that's the reality. Well, that's your reality. And it may only be 5,000 other people on that same algorithm as you, but you think it's everything because you see 5,000 people on social media, and they're only going to send you the news clips that's related to that algorithm, right? But in fact, there could be 20, 100 million, 2 billion people being impacted by this other bigger thing like climate change or war or poverty or food insecurities or food deserts and violence that you'll never see because the algorithm won't give it to you. So we're in a skewed reality right now, and it's almost like we're in a multiverse.
I agree 100%.
And you know, it's crazy. We're so intentional about creating other things in our life, but I don't know one person that's ever done it that has intentionally curated their algorithm on social media. So they can only see the things that they want to see. We just kind of aimlessly start pulling up stuff. And the next thing you know, you're going down a rabbit hole. I had a dream after watching that ICU nurse get murdered. I'm looking at it from different angles and coming up with these different perspectives. I had a dream I got shot by a police officer
Mm-hmm.
every night, right?
Yeah.
Again, it didn't affect me because you know, but still that subconscious watching it over and over and over again for like 30 minutes going down this rabbit hole manifested in my dream. So that's real. Like what we focus on grows, and we need to be more intentional about taking a page out of your book and isolating ourselves from all those other distractions. Vince can attest to this. Years ago, when I started my first network marketing business, when I was really focused, I took myself out the group chat. I was like, "Hey, y'all, I'll see y'all in a minute." I didn't come back till like a year and a half later. Picked up right where we left off. My boys were still my boys. They were still doing their thing. I didn't really miss out on nothing, you know. So yeah, we need to stay focused on the task at hand, what we need to do.
Yeah, and I think like look at how much stuff, how are we using our time and who are we investing our time in? Like, are we investing in ourselves? Who do we have around us, and what are we ingesting and surrounding ourselves with? I intentionally not necessarily curate the algorithm, even though Jack Dorsey recently said it, I believe Davos, the recent conference, that in the future there may be tools or companies that allow you to choose your algorithm, where you can plug in your custom algorithm on top of a Twitter or X or Instagram or Facebook. Like you can decide. Right now, you have no choice. If a couple of your friends like something, they think, oh, you'll like it as well. And I think we all been there where one day we'll watch a clip and one of our friends will send us the same clip a day or two later and be like, you got to see this. Be like, yo, bro, I just watched that a couple of days ago. The algorithm is sending it to all of the people in your network, right? And once it gets your attention, it's going to keep sending it. So I do think we have to like not only curate, and you can do it, but it's very difficult to do it on social media. You got to constantly say what you don't want them to send you. And like, I'm not interested in this and I'm not interested in that. I think what's more important is to curate your friend group and what you surround yourself with, what information and education you curate on your own and ingest. And so like for me, like I have friends and family that I have to put, on red. That's what my daughter Autumn calls it. She's like when they text you and like you see it and you don't respond, I read it, but like I'm not gonna respond to it because like I don't want to see that. And like for back to your point, I never saw George Floyd getting murdered because I didn't want to ingest that. People told me what happened. I read the headlines. I never even wanted to like read the full story. I understand what's happening in Black communities and impoverished neighborhoods. And I understand what's happening with the wealth gap and Hispanics and Latinas and Latinos. Like, I don't need to ingest that. Like, I understand it was a murder. I understand that 2 ICE agents, regardless of what you say, they were murdered. Like, but I don't want to see that because it was like, that's just, I'm too emotional to see those things. But I think we can understand that those things happen and be more solution oriented. And so like people are focused on negativity. I'm focused on solutions. So I can't affect what happened on those streets in Minneapolis or what happened, maybe in Long Beach, California, where I was born, or Connecticut, where I was went to school, or Atlanta, where I'm doing a lot of stuff in the community. But I can focus on these kids I can focus on my kids, my wife, the people in my community, and these kids out there that don't have fathers or don't have the education or from, a guardian or parent, and pouring into them. And I think that that's what life is about, is using your time, effort, and energy to create impact. And I heard an amazing saying one time. It said, purpose, everybody's searching for purpose. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? It's like, everybody know what they're supposed to be doing, but do you want to do it? It's like, what are you naturally good at? What do you love doing? What would you do for free? And how can you use those three things in order to help other people? What are you naturally good at? What do you love doing? What would you do for free? And how can you use that to help other people? That's when you kind of in the zen. So right now, life is amazing, because like there's all this negativity going on, but like I'm like Bruce Leroy in The Last Dragon, and I got the arms that are fading out and all that, because like when you in your zen, when you in your frequency and your flow, like who cares? Like my new album will come out, The Syllabus Junior Year. Some people gonna say it's trash. It's not meant for you. There's gonna be a bunch of people that's gonna memorize every single lyric and realize that I put messaging, 40 plus years of education in those lyrics and in those bars, and they're going to become educated, and it's going to have a ripple effect later. So like, I think we got to focus on what we can impact and less on what's happening out there that we have no control over. So more of controlling the controllables and less of like getting distracted. So blinders on, focusing and keeping your friend group and your network tight is the goal.
So I got a question for you though about that. So earlier you spoke about your quarter zip matcha songs you have going on. Now, how are you able to keep intact with current trends and those type of things, and still tap and utilize the power of social media and marketing and promoting your things that are going on without necessarily being on it?
Yeah, well, like I wouldn't say that I'm an influencer, right? But I know influencers, and
Okay.
I stay in the schools, and so I like for example, I have a credited high school financial literacy course working with Superintendent Michael Prayer up in New York City schools. So we're at the World Trade Center teaching on the 39th floor, partnering with New York Life and Philip Grandison, who's a partner there. Like I'm in the schools. I did a summer workshop, for example, a 4-week summer workshop where I gave kids stock, taught them financial literacy, all summer long in New York City. So it keeps me connected, not only because I have young kids, right? My youngest is 10. So that's Charlotte. My 13-year-old is Layla. Dylan is 15, and my oldest 27 is Autumn. So like I have all of like that understanding and that knowledge. Plus I'm in the schools, and I have a pretty big family. So I stay connected to what's happening out there. And then, understanding where there's trends and things like that. What do my kids come home talking about? Right. And then how can I leverage the influencers and the celebrities that I know in order to amplify that impact? Like I don't have maybe on Instagram, I have maybe 6,000 or 7,000 followers. Right. But if you look at some of the celebrities who are following me, when I send them something, I'm like, oh, check this out. This is what I'm doing. They reshare it, but they have 20 or 30 million followers. So this is where I was saying that ripple effect. So you don't have to be the face everybody knows, but are you providing value, and are you bringing something to the equation? So I did 2 events where I did an event with Next Level Boys Academy. I spoke, and then T.I. spoke right after me. I did another event with Judge Asha Jackson to decrease recidivism in Atlanta, like 3 days later, where T.I. spoke first, and then I spoke after him. Like, I think like when you're operating on purpose, you will find people in alignment with what you're doing. And so I work a lot of with these non-profits. Like I've done stuff with John Hope Bryant at Operation Hope. I've worked with 2 Chainz Foundation, T.I.'s Foundation, like I said, Usher's Foundation, Steve Harvey's Foundation. So like you can create influence even when you're not necessarily an influencer.
Like that.
Facts. We've heard it constantly. Your network is your net worth.
For
So
sure.
utilizing that and not needing to be the face and not focusing on how many people are liking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let them do all that. You were talking about making sure you're around the right people, focusing, being at events. You
Hmm.
got Finlit Fest 2026 coming up, the first of its kind. It's an annual financial literacy, music, and business festival for kids ages 12 to 17 and their parents.
Hmm.
That's amazing. Talk about that and the value that you're providing there so that folks listening can definitely tap in with that this summer.
Yeah, so this is in partnership with Us or Else, which is run by Toyan Julian. It's TI's chief of staff, and so TI and Tiny's nonprofit Us or Else has a community outreach initiative. So they, as much as they do stuff in regards to trying to decrease the atrocities that are happening in the Black and Brown community, they're also focused on the youth. So we have similar frequencies. And so the first event we did at Clark Atlanta University. And that's where we had Magic Johnson, T.I., and John Hope Bryant as keynotes. But what we realize is that this really needs to be a dinner table conversation. At that event, we only had kids, middle and high school kids, so 12 to 17. But we realized that when you start talking about trying to correct the wealth gap, you need to have a collective approach to it. And so you really need parents and kids together, just like church, right? At church, you have Sunday school and then you have the regular service. They're teaching same kind of concepts at different levels, but then you can have a collective conversation. And that's what we really wanted to do. And so this one here will be our first parent and kids session. We have separate tracks. So think of a regular conference, right? But there will be separate tracks. The parents are going to be learning advanced financial literacy, investment strategies, and things like that in their track. The kids will be starting off from budgeting, opportunity cost, saving, investing, and then future things like following their dreams and fulfilling their purpose and helping others. And then at the end, we are going to do, and this is a first of its kind, because we have the parents there, we are going to on-site activate custodial accounts for every kid that's there. And we're going to fund those accounts for the youth. And so we're going to have a session with the parents and we're going to say, look, this is where you sign up. Sign up is 5 minutes for this brokerage account, this bank account. And here's the a code that you can put in there in order to fund that account. And so before students leave, they will leave with investment dollars or savings dollars. So we're still working on some sponsors to determine what we're like, how much we're going to be able to give to the youth. They're definitely going to leave with brokerage accounts. My goal is for them to leave with a brokerage account and a bank account so they can start saving and investing right after our conference. And so, you know, just like we were the first financial literacy kids app, this is the first financial literacy business and music festival for kids, just like we had the first G-rated financial literacy album. And then there has been an update, Nate. I know you said I've done 3 books. I just released my 6th book. And so I've been busy. my latest book is called Wealth Mindset for Teens. So this is my 6th book. I also have another financial literacy book called Dollars and Decisions. And that's a scenario-based book that follows multiple kids in their life journey that make different decisions along the way and see where they are with compound interest and college education and different investment vehicles and things like that. So there's lots going on, but Finlit Fest is something that we're super passionate about. When I look at 2026, 3 things that I'm super focused on and excited about are Finlit Fest, which is going to be June 13th at the Georgia Tech Exhibition Hall. We're partnering with Georgia Tech. They're giving us the space. So thanks, Georgia Tech. We're going to bring 500 plus parents and kids together, ages 12 to 17 for the kids. That's June 13th. And so tickets for that will be finlitfest.com. But the second thing I'm excited about for 2026 is the album. Like I said, the 3rd album is coming up. I'm going to do 4 albums total. The last album is going to be a syllabus senior year. But this one coming up is going to be the syllabus junior year. And then thirdly, I'm doing a lot more work in New York City. And so the goal is, I don't know who's listening out there, but my goal is to meet the new mayor of New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani, and the new chancellor, Kamar Samuels, and really amplify this music-based financial literacy curriculum that we have. Like I said, we're already working in one district with one high school superintendent, Michael Prayer, Dr. Michael Prayer, but the goal is to be in all 11 high school districts. And so if we're in all 11 high school districts in New York City, we're talking 300,000 plus high school students. And with our scalable financial literacy curriculum, we can educate hundreds of thousands, we can educate millions. It's the flick of a switch. We can take our curriculum and activate different schools because we use a learning management software or system called Canvas. And Canvas is already being utilized in churches, universities, and schools, and we're on the Canvas platform. So we're scalable to millions if need be.
That meeting with Mamdani is going to happen sooner than later for you. I can already see you manifesting now. So you can already put that in the books. Go ahead, get your elevator speech together. It's going to happen for you sooner than later.
Well, matter of fact, while we at it, like I heard that the mayor of New York City, Mayor Mamdani, had a previous hip hop album. And so he's a young guy, 34 years old. But, I think he would understand what we're doing with the music thing. And I'll give you a sample because you two are hip hop heads. You know King Los. Let me give you King Los' verse. He got two verses. What's that?
Baltimore's own King Los, by the way. I'm from
Oh,
Baltimore.
bro. Okay,
yeah. When he was young back in the day. So shout out to King Los. That's the man.
Yeah, King Los. Yeah, he's he has a couple of verses on there, but this is one of them. If you sit beside me, you might wonder why I read books that inspire me, because learning is my hobby. Anything you build, it starts with a foundation. Anything worth having is worth chasing. You can start a business. All you need is vision. The process of elimination teach you good decisions. Now, ain't that funny? Your thoughts is worth money. That means every clever view you have is revenue. Building it is rugged, but you got to have a budget. Invest with your time and money. Win it if you love it. Only borrow what you need is another subject, because over here, cars are expenses that's deducted. That brings us to taxation and inflation. Wages and purchasing power rules the nation. Financial management is how we advance. It's the law of supply and demand. And when you see this money in my hand, you ask me how I do that. King Los.
All right,
I like it. I like it. Okay.
Be looking for that. But all of our other albums on Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music. I go by Doc Fuller. That's my moniker for my music work, is Doc Fuller. The syllabus, freshman year, sophomore year, and soon to be the syllabus junior year.
You can get a couple streams tonight from me. I'm gonna check it out.
I'm telling you, hey, Benz, like if you literally, the music was created for a curriculum. Right. Okay. So I had the curriculum in mind when I made the music. Right. And so it wasn't like the music was made and I said, let's do a curriculum. No, the curriculum was always in mind. So the education was always in mind. So one of the songs took me about 2 weeks to write. Right. Because I'm talking about some deep concepts. And literally, if adults listen to my first album, the syllabus freshman year, and kids listen to the syllabus sophomore year, they'll probably be smarter than about 80 to 90% of adults. The concepts in there are so like educational. Literally, you'll be smarter. If kids listen to my second album, they'll be smarter than their parents. Because we're talking about trusts, 529 plans, like a 1031 exchange, and like most adults don't even know what a 1031 exchange is and the tax benefits you can get if you operate with a 1031 exchange when you sell your house and buy another property, right? Avoid capital gains tax. Like we put that in the song. My daughter has a song on the album where it's called My Business, where it literally tells you from step 1 to like 12 how to set up an LLC. how to get your EIN number, how to get business credit, like how to like go to the bank, how to register, with the state and all of these things, but literally how to set up your own LLC. Like that's on the second album. So yeah, we have some bars on there. So I'm looking forward to you listening to it, Benz.
I'm gonna check it out tonight.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing tonight. This my music when I'm cooking my dinner tonight. I'm checking you out. See what you got
Yes.
going on. I love the concepts you're putting out there, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I would say that it's not, you won't catch me with a billion streams out there, right? But if you look at the people that's getting educated and a ripple effect that has happened in their community, in their household, that's why I said we don't really know what the real number is. If you look at our social media reshares, it's tens of millions, because we have people that are resharing with tens of millions of followers. But when you start talking about how many streams and how the impact that it's having, it's like we're telling kids like don't buy Jordans, buy Nike stock.
Mm.
Like we're telling kids, if you play Minecraft, buy Microsoft, which owns Xbox and Minecraft. Like if you wear it, own it. Right, we're talking about being an investor and taking ownership, and like if you're invested in Nike, every time you see one of your favorite players wearing Nike, they're working for you because you're an owner and they're wearing a product, a piece of a company that you own. So we're helping kids to think differently, and it's having a ripple effect. We've seen kids where we've given them $20 in stock, and 3 to 5 years later, the parent is coming back and saying that they have $3,000 in their account now. And for Christmas, they're asking for, all right, I want a couple toys, but the rest of the money that you would have spent on toys, I want that in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's definitely having a ripple effect out there, and we're having fun doing it. I get to go and hang out with my kids. My kids come with me when I'm teaching. Sometimes they'll rap. Sometimes they'll help me with passing out worksheets. My wife and kids. So when we look at it, it's a family affair, and I think that brings us together, but it also gives others. Like I saw with the Cosby Show, it gives you something that you can look at and emulate and model. And I think there's a lot of negativity being modeled out there. And as much as we're teaching financial literacy, I also know that my wife and I are mentors, and my kids are mentors. And so we want to have that in front of people so that they can see what greatness looks like.
That representation matters, man. And I like how you said it earlier, man. Your pebbles with a purpose. Like we're
Yeah.
not looking at streams and what's popular right now. I had the pleasure, Benz knows this. I saw Rakim on Saturday with the Duke Ellington performers.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing. It was like an orchestra with live instrumentation behind it. Mind you, high school kids. These kids were phenomenal. But he was talking about at the end about how like we need to be a lot more intentional about what it is that we're talking about, right? What we're rapping about, what the music is putting out there. And I feel like within the last few years, for whatever reason, for socially, we're becoming more aware. We're in a renaissance period where stuff that we're putting out to the world is becoming cool. It's more popular than some of the nonsense that's getting pushed by some of the bigger infrastructure. So just keep chipping away.
Yeah.
One bar at a time, one song at a time, one course at a time. And we're going to continue to be in alignment and Ikigai, I think is what you were talking about earlier. I'm actually editing a podcast with a woman sports agent that's coming out on our next episode, and she talked a lot about that. How she also does coaching, personal development coaching. One of the basic fundamentals that she starts with, kind of finding that purpose through Ikigai. So I gotta go read for sure.
Yeah, and it's called different things, Japanese culture, Eastern, Western culture. But at the end of the day, is kind of like, how are you using stuff that you're passionate about, your strong suits, in order to create purpose in the world? And when you do that, it's like you create something that's never been created. Like I'm an educator. I love kids. I'm a business guy too. Love real estate. My wife and I, and I understand that kids need something that is entertaining. And I love music, right? I learned how to DJ during the pandemic. I'm trash, but I still I love music. I grew up listening to everything from Donny Hathaway and Isaac Hayes to, Teddy Pendergrass and Marvin Gaye to Sugar Hill Gang and other stuff, right? So I fuse all of that into one. My love for kids, my love for music, my love for business, and it created something that's never existed when you talk about a G-rated financial literacy album. So I think when you mix up these things, it's like gumbo. People want to stay in their lane and just like, no, maybe you can mix all of this stuff together. Like I just got a text from special ed. Shout out to legendary MC. What was something I'm probably stealing his thunder, but he's Dr. Ed Archer. I don't know if you know that. But he got his honorary doctorate degree, and so he's Dr. Archer, and he just came out with a book, a bunch of different poems that his father wrote. So check that out. It's a dope book by Dr. Edward Archer, aka Special Ed. But he was excited because he just found out that he's going to be a visiting professor at UCLA out in California. So we were texting back and forth like, yeah, man, he's excited about that. And I just like, how can I support what you're doing? So more and more to your point, Nate, I think like people in the past that may have put out content, I'm not talking about special ed because I think he was always positive, but I think more and more when you start looking at people, what they put out in their teens and 20, when they get older and they have kids, you like, I was poisoning the youth. I was poisoning my community, and you like change and you want to give back. I was talking to Young Dro here recently, and Young Dro's in church every week. You know what I mean? He may have been he talked about with the T.I. Kirk Franklin song that he's on. He talks about his drug addiction and coming up out of that. And now he's just like he's counseling kids in school. I don't know if many people know that because he doesn't really share a lot of his personal stuff. But Young Dro is in the schools helping to counsel kids, him and a therapist, and he's giving back to the community. But I like it takes a elevated state of mind to realize that you have something in you. Things happen to you for a reason. Now, how can you take those and almost like jujitsu? How can you take that energy and redistribute it and repurpose it and redirect that in order to make something positive? So like for me, I think a lot of my life, I've taken in negativity, and I literally had to do the opposite of everything that I saw. Because my door was getting kicked in. My brothers were chopping up bricks of, white stuff. That's what I saw when I was 9, 10, 11 years old. But how can you take that and transition into something positive? So for all of the things, for my 3 brothers that I lost before I graduated college, for all of the trials and tribulations that I saw my father go through with being incarcerated in federal penitentiary, for all the stuff I see in my community through my family and all of the other things, like I'm taking that energy and reshifting it. And that's where I go so hard in the schools. And so like nobody will catch up to me. I'm like Kobe. It's like, there's no way you're going to catch me. Kobe was working out twice a day. So how you going to catch somebody on the basketball court when he had worked out twice a day for like the last 12, 15, 20 years? It's impossible because it's that same time thing that we talked about. And so I don't watch the TV and all of that stuff, like I said, because I'm super focused, but I'm using my time, and that's why I'm able to come out with so much content. People are just like, how you keep doing this? I'm just like, I'm using my time differently. You know what I mean? So I just pray that if somebody's watching this, for one of your viewers, think about where you're spending your time. Think about how much you spend playing games, watching somebody else at their job, reality TV and sports. And I love sports and I'm not knocking it, but like, are you where you need to be? And how are you spending your time? How many video games and sports have you watched? And could you be doing something different with your talents? Because I think God gives us all genetically encoded manuscripts to follow. And if we follow that manuscript, that's when we're going to find true purpose. People are following purses and I'm following purpose.
Yeah, I know y'all was getting bars on here tonight. Yeah, I know.
Got some bars tonight, man.
Yeah,
Hey, I just want to say, I appreciate what you've done, what you're doing, what you continue to do, what you aspire to do. A lot of people blame their circumstance in their situation. It seems like you use it to motivate you and get you motivated to do better. And that needs to be celebrated in and of itself, because we're in a culture a lot of times people use that as a crutch, as an excuse. I don't know no better. I didn't see any better growing up, so that gives me the excuse to do some bullshit myself. And
Yeah,
I just want to shout out to you for that. As I see that, and,
thank
and
you.
and keep doing your thing, man. Like, we're here to
Thank
help
you.
you. Anything we can do to help, any association you need, we got 12 guys with us and a network of each got their own network. So anything we can do to help further your mission, let us know.
Yeah, and I'll say thank you for that. I'll receive everything. If you all with your network and your brotherhood or anybody out there that's listening or watching this, um, we have scalable resources that can impact millions with the flip of a switch. When you talk about our music, our TV app, our music-based curriculum, our books that are on Amazon, we have tons of tools. But getting back to your point, your situation is not your destination. A lot of people are focused on the situation that they're currently in, the situation that they were in, or the situation that they're going to be in. But you determine what your destination is. So I tell students, I say your situation is not your destination, and you can change your destination with determination. Be determined to get out of your situation, and you'll get to your destination.
More bars.
A little something, something.
I was going to share something else. So I'm going to just end it on that. I don't even want to stand that. Let it breathe, right? Let it breathe. Sometimes the DJ, you got to read the room and just let that breathe. So respect, Doc. Again, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence, blessing us with these gems, with bars, with, all the amazing stuff that you're doing out in the world. For those who are listening that want to get in contact with you, that want to support an initiative that you have going on, that want to go to the festival, get the album, support some of the merch, how can they tap in with you, and where can they find you at?
I have a lot of different URLs, but I have one URL that'll get you to all of those different things: the books, the app, the festival, the curriculum. It's Doc Fuller, DLC, like Dr. Fuller. So docdlcfuller.com. It's a link tree that'll connect you to all of the different things, my social media, my email, all of those different things. It's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary exchange, pun intended, But yeah, I think, thank you for allowing me to be here. This is an amazing platform. I appreciate you all, because it's not a lot of people that are on this positive frequency that are looking to raise others as they rise. And I salute everything that you're doing. And I don't know if I need to give a plug or nothing, but I'll tell you, I'm Doc Fuller, and this is Extraordinary Exchange with Nate and Ben's. Salute.
That's a first. That's a first. That's a first. Salute. So, again, Doc, you the man. You are family. Don't let us hear about something that you're doing and not reach out to us. Allow us to, at least bless you in some way to either share it or support it. Because again, the people we bring onto the platform, we truly garner as family, cousins, however you want to call it. So, and again, we're in alignment. There's synergy here.
Yes,
We're
indeed.
in the same lane. So let us know. And we'll definitely do the same with you, brother. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you both.
And for everybody listening, again, you just heard from Doc Fuller himself, the man, the myth, the legend. This has truly been an extraordinary exchange. Thank you to the other 10 brothers in the Extraordinary Investment Group. We couldn't do what we do here on this platform without y'all, as we continue to impact the world positively through education and smart financial strategy. Until the next episode of the pod, y'all be blessed, be easy, and be extraordinary. Peace.